What's going on YouTube, and welcome to another video on my channel. And in this video, what I want to talk to you guys about is how I prepare my nutrition while training for a marathon. But before I get to that video, I want you guys to know that you are greatly loved, and that you are wonderfully and beautifully created, and that you are capable of far more than you could ever imagine. Alright guys, so let's get right into this video. So before I start the video, I want you guys to know that I am by no means an expert at running. I'm by no means an expert at nutrition, but I would say that I've researched it a lot over the past year. So I've been running for just a year. I've researched it a ton, and I wanted to share with you guys what I do for nutrition, and because you guys have asked me a ton what I do for this. Okay, so as I said, a little more background. I've been running for just about a year. September 11th will mark a year since my first marathon, and I started running a few months before that. So since that time, I've ran my first marathon. I ran it in 3 hours and 4 minutes. I ran another marathon in January with a 20-pound vest. I ran another marathon in April with a 40-pound vest. And currently, if you look at my training plan here, I am about to be running an ultra marathon. And so how do I stay fueled up for all of that? I'm going to give you two different ways. One is kind of the easiest way, not as accurate, easiest way, and then another way that's a little bit harder, but you could do, and that's the one that I normally do. So first things first, we want to set up calories. And I believe this is with everything you do. You need to make sure that you have enough calories in your body so that your body performs well. Now, for it to perform optimally, we'll need to talk about macros, but we'll do that in a minute. So the very first thing, if you are training for a marathon, your activity level is going to be very high. So the number one thing that we need to do first is find what your basal metabolic rate is. And all that is, it's some number that means that's what your body burns at rest. Not digesting, not breathing, not doing anything. That's just what your body burns at rest. And so the easiest way to do that is go online, bmrcalculator.org or .com or whatever it is. Type in your age, your sex, your weight, your height, and all that, and it'll give you a BMR number. And this is the number that I want you to write down, to have kept somewhere, that you're going to use every single day. Okay, with that number, we are going to add in your exercise. And so the exercise is going to be added in the hard way. That's what I'm going to talk about right now, by using a formula. And I got this formula from the book The Hybrid Athlete by Alex Valletta. Super good book. So what you're going to do is you're going to take however many miles you've ran that day. So I'm going to run 10 miles today. So I'd take 10 miles. I'm going to multiply that by my weight. So my weight right now is 170. So 10 times 170. And then by kind of like a discriminative factor of 0.66. Okay, and then that's going to give you some number. Okay, and with that number, you're going to take 10% of that number and add it on top of that total number. So let's just do it really quick on my phone. I'll use my calculator here to show you guys what it looks like. So if we were to do this again, I said I weigh we're going to run 10 miles. We're going to multiply that by my weight, which is 170. Then we're going to multiply that by 0.66. And then we're going to take 10% of that. So 10% of 1122 would be 112. So plus 112 equals 1,234. And with that number, you're going to add that to your BMR. So I know that my BMR is right around 2,000 calories. So then I'm going to add 2,000 calories. And that brings me to 3,234 calories. Okay, and so with that, that is how many calories I need to maintain while running 10 miles. Now, say if your mileage went to 6 miles, you change the 10 to 6 miles and get it that way. Now, if you wanted to lose weight or gain weight during marathon training, you definitely can, and you just add or subtract from this number by however much that you want to lose weight. So I'm currently cutting right now. I'm on a cutting program trying to get shredded, and so I would take 500 away from this number. So minus 500 equals 2,734. And so that's how many calories I'd eat to lose a pound a week. Alright, so that is the hard way of doing it, to find how many calories you need just to maintain while marathon training. Now let's do the quick and dirty way. before we get to talking about macronutrients. So this way you're just going to get your BMR. So first step, always go get your BMR. So mine, I said I know is around 2,000. So I'm going to take 2,000. And if you are marathon training, we're going to multiply this by an activity level that's just going to be a generalized number that you're going to use every day instead of using your mileage daily. So for me, my activity factor, because I'm marathon training, I'm very active, I'm lifting weights as well, which is going to be very, very, very intensive. But I'm not necessarily working out like say hours upon hours upon hours. So I'm going to multiply this by about 1.75. Now if I multiply 2,000 by 1.75, that'll give me 3,500 that I'll eat daily. So you can see that these two ways have made it very, very similar. And even you can multiply that by 1.9. So if you're marathon training, I'd recommend getting your BMR, multiplying it by 1.75 to 1.9, and that should give you an average around calories that you need to just maintain throughout all this stress and training for your marathon. So again, these were my numbers, so do not go eating 3,500 calories a day. Make sure to plug your own numbers in and get those. All right, I need a sip of coffee. So now you have how many calories you need to maintain. If you wanted to lose weight, subtract 500. If you want to gain weight, add 500. So now let's talk about macronutrients. And we're going to make this very, very simple. Okay, the very first thing you need to do is get your protein in. Okay, and the bodybuilding world makes you want to believe that you need a ton, all the protein in the world, and that's not true. So you only need about 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So for me, my lean body mass is 165. So I only need 165 grams of protein a day, okay? So for you, not your weight currently, what your lean body mass is, or your ideal body mass. And you could Google that as well. But usually you could, depending on your body fat level, you'll just take some pounds off from your general weight. I'm pretty lean right now. I'm like at 6.7%. And so for me, even though I weigh 170, my lean body mass is 165. So take your lean body mass, that's how many grams of protein you need. And then after that, the majority of the rest of your calories needs to come from carbohydrates. But before we get to that, we're just going to knock fat out of the way. So for fat, you want to take that big number that we get for how many calories a day and just take 20 to 30% of that. So for me, it was 3,500 calories in a day that I need to eat on average, or if, just to make it easy. So 3,500, and if I want 20% of that coming from fat, I'll multiply that by 0.2. That means 700 of my calories should come from fat. And then just to help you guys a bit further, there are 9 calories for every gram of fat. So then I'll divide that by 9, and that'll give me 78 grams of fat. So I need 78 grams of fat a day, correct? So we have 78 grams of fat a day. We said that I needed 165 grams of protein a day. And yeah, make sure that you write all this out, because that'll make it much easier. So if we write it all out, I'll do 78 grams of fat, which equals 700 calories. And we said I'm going to do 165 grams of protein. 165 grams of protein. And so then if we take, there's 4 calories for every gram of protein. So if we take 165 times 4, that equals 660. Okay, and then you're going to take those two numbers. Okay, so that equals 660, and then you're going to take those two numbers, add them together, and that's going to give you 1,360. And then what you want to do next is take that 1,360 and take that away from that big number that we got at the very beginning. So for me, that was 3,500, and we will see that brings me to 2,140 calories that should come from carbohydrates. All right, and so then when we have that, carbs are just like proteins in that every gram is 4 calories. So we want to divide that number by 4, and that gives me 535 grams of carbs that I should eat every single day. So if we look at the macros just broken down the way we did that, so very first thing, find your protein, it's your lean, your grams per lean body mass. Next, calculate your fat, anywhere from 20% to 30% of your total calories. and then the rest should come from carbohydrates. And so that would give my numbers 78 grams of fat, 165 grams of protein, and 535 grams of carbs. And we are in a carb, like a carb-fearing epidemic throughout the United States. But I promise you, especially for marathon training, do not be afraid of carbohydrates. If you're afraid of your physique changing and that you feel bloated, yeah, of course, that's gonna happen because carbs hold water, but you need carbs for performance. Study after study after study goes to show you how important carbohydrates are, especially when running marathons or strength training. So do not be afraid of the carbs, okay? And yes, your weight will fluctuate. When I'm carb loaded, especially before a long run, I might weigh 186. After that long run and when I get back to my baseline, I'm back to about 170, 172. So do not be afraid of carbs. And if you do not want to be this strict about this, another easy way to do it would just be to make sure you're eating protein with every meal. The rest of your food is very high in carbs and low in fat, and you should be good. But I'm very regimented, and I want to make sure I'm performing at my best, so I follow it this way. Alright guys, that is marathon training nutrition in a nutshell. I could talk about a ton more, but I'm going to leave it at that. This video is already pretty long. So I will make more videos coming up. People have been asking me, because in my last videos I said I'd make these, and it's been almost a year. But I will be making more videos about how I perform, how I train for marathons, what all supplements I use for marathon training while building muscle mass and ultra marathon training. But for now, that's the end of the video. Any questions you guys have, drop them below. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys greatly. But before I go, I want you guys to know that you are greatly, greatly loved, and that you are wonderfully and beautifully created, and that you are capable of far more than you could ever imagine.